Hey everyone, welcome back. As you may be surprised to see, today we have a video for Duelyst. That's right, the amazing game that shut down, oh dude, I don't even know, like what, at least 3 if not 4 or 5 years ago, is currently back this weekend for an alpha test. And anyone can join as the server restrictions have been lifted. You just go to alpha.duelyst2.com and make an account, and you can join in on the test and celebrate Duely's return with us. Super awesome. I'll post a link in the description as well, but that's alpha.duelyst2.com. Anyway, what are we going to do today? Well, we are going to test out a Vanar deck. I forgot how sort of struggle bus OG Vanar was back in the day. And also it's worth noting that we currently only have access to the core set. So there's a lot of cards that are missing. But the deck is basically a control-ish sort of deck that makes our opponents hate their lives. Because what else is Vanar going to do besides punish opponents for playing the game? How do we make our opponents hate their lives? Well, we have some of the best removal spells in the entire game. That being a 1-drop removal that targets their minion, and whatever the fuck it is, it just becomes a 3/3 vanilla wolf. Great. Then we have Chromatic Cold. We can target any space on the entire board, dispel that space and deal 2 damage to the target. So we could use this for burn on the general if we needed to. We could use this to help with removal if we needed to. But most importantly, if they throw down a big threat and they have it blocked very well, we can just say, how about no? And get rid of that threat. Then we also have Hailstone Prison. This works best as removal whenever they have a full hand, because, remember, we are back in OG Duelyst, so that means 2 draw. That is right, 2 draw. It's been ages since we've had 2 draw. So at the end of every turn, you draw up to 2 cards. And if they have a full hand, which is pretty easy to do if you're trying to just play on curve, and they drop some big bomb on you, you Hailstone Prison it, and it gets milled, because it can't go back to their hand, because your hand can only have 6 cards. So it's pretty much a free removal. Otherwise, it's more of just delay your opponent for another turn and make them do something different. So with these 3 spells alone, we already have really good removal. But then we also have, because Vanar lacks AoE presence, we also have Aspect of the Mountains, which is both sort of a finisher and our oh shit button. What it does is we can transform any minion into a 5/5 elemental, and upon transforming, the minion, that elemental, like, surges with energy and deals 5 damage to every enemy minion near it. So notice it doesn't say that you have to turn your own minion. However, you probably don't want to be giving your opponent a 5/5 beater. That's why I say it's kind of a finisher, because it wipes their board and puts a threat in its place as well. Obviously, you have to have a board first to use it. That's why we play a fairly hefty amount of 2-drops. So for 8 mana, we can I'm sorry, I can't speak. We can potentially wipe their board while leaving a big threat behind. So with these 4 different spells, with 3 copies each, because in Duelyst you can only have 3 copies of a card, and the deck is 40 card limit, we have a really good removal/control/stall base. And the way that we ramp this up even better to make our opponents hate their lives is with Crossbones. This guy used to be basically worthless, but because Dreamsloth Games has reworked pretty much a lot of the cards, especially the useless cards, this guy is different now, and his effect is very interesting. When he is destroyed, the next card your opponent plays costs 1 more. So basically what we do is we spam this guy, we throw this guy on our opponent's face, and we say, hey, this guy deals 3 damage. Are you sure you want to take 3 to the face? If you don't, well, then trade out your 2 or 3 drop for it. That's fine by me. Oh, and also, whatever you're about to play, I just totally screwed up your mana curve, which is pretty awesome. But it's not good enough just to ruin our opponent's curve. We also need to inflate ours to just really slam down the pressure. That's what Crystal Wisp is for. It's a 2-drop, so we play it on the first turn, and whenever it dies, it gives us an extra mana crystal, which means, basically, it advances our curve faster than it should. So for example, if we play this on turn 2, then on turn 1, we have 2 mana, and then we cash it into one of their minions on turn 2 where we have 3 mana, and that means on turn 3, where we should have 4 mana, we instead have 5. And that lets us play some dumb stuff. And then just to round it out, we have Healing Mystic, which has been a staple in Duelyst ever since it existed. It lets us heal either our face, our general, or one of our own minions. And perhaps I should explain that, by the way. To play Duelyst, you have to choose a faction. I am currently Vanar. Then you choose a general. For Vanar, that's Faye, Alina, or Kara. I don't remember how she's pronounced. I've always been a Faye main, so of course, when I heard Duelyst coming back, you know I'm going to be picking Faye. There currently aren't any BVS's, Bloodborne spells in the game, so there is no real archetype defined around a general. I don't know if that's going to be coming in the future, so for now it's just cosmetic, and I think that's cool too, because maybe people in the past, they liked the look of Faye, but they hated her Warbird spell, so they never played her. So now you can play whatever general you want that you think looks cool or whatever, or maybe who you want to be your waifu, or your daddy. It's just that Vanar are all women, without having any mechanical repercussions, so that's cool. So anyway, you pick a general, then you get 40 cards. So you get 39 other cards to put in your deck. So that's our 2 drops. Moving on to our 3 drops, we have Fenrir Warmaster. He is an old staple of Vanar that used to be mandatory pretty much every Vanar deck. One of the only good Vanar cards that wasn't a spell that Vanar had for the longest time when Duelyst first released. He's a 3/3, so he's a pretty good stat line for 3 mana. However, when he dies, he turns into like a ghostly wolf, which also has the stat line of 3/3. So for 3 mana, we get 6/6 worth of stats. That's pretty PogChamp. So this guy's pretty clutch. We slam him on turn 2 or turn 1 if we're going second, and he's just a real nightmare to deal with. Either your opponent trades like 3 cards into it to get rid of it, plus probably at least 3 if not 6 face damage, or they use a removal spell on it. But it kind of feels bad to use a removal spell on a 3-drop. Especially since we have a lot of other bombs to drop. But the only card I'm not certain about in this list is Sworn Avenger. I have him here because he's another card that just demands an answer before he spirals out of control, and he also forces opponents to position awkwardly to try to get to him. So what he does is he's a ranged unit, so he can attack from anywhere on the board. He doesn't have to be right next to it. And every time the general, so for me that's Faye, every time Faye takes damage, he gets a permanent +1 attack buff, unless it's a spelled, of course. So from anywhere on the board, every time Faye takes damage, this guy's getting a buff. And that's great, because that could make your opponents a little hesitant to punch you in the face, because if they trade the general plus a minion into your face, well, Sworn Avenger just got +2 to his attack. And the next turn, you know where that +2 is going. So he can very easily spiral out of control, and he's handy for removal when your opponents try to play well. Position well, I mean, you can snipe their targets. That's pretty good. And then another old classic of OG Duelyst that got removed and literally never saw play after a nerf. Emerald Rejuvenator, classic 4-drop. This guy's big thing is that when you play him, you heal 4 health. And he's also a 4/4. That's, I mean, if you ask me, that's pretty PogChamp. You might be wondering how they nerfed him. I'm pretty sure Counterplay, the old devs for Duelyst, nerfed him to a 4/2. So for 4 mana, I also think they reduced the healing to like 3, maybe? Something like that. So anyway, they nerfed his health line and nerfed his healing, I think. Or at least nerfed his stat line. So for 4 mana, you were playing a card that died to a 2-drop, or that died to a very cheap spell, and you got a little bit of health back, and so it just really lost all purpose of playing it. But we've got OG Emerald Rejuvenator back, and that really helps also to prevent Duelyst from being, 3-minute games, because opponent spams aggro, you take 12 damage each turn, you die. But with this now, you can have a big swing back and last a few more turns, which is great since we're trying to kind of make our opponents rue their existences. Then we have Lightbender, because I realized that there are some matchups that are really hard for OG Vanar, like shadow creeps, those just pile up. You have no way to deal with them, and it just becomes free removal for your opponent. And also if your opponent surrounds you, and you've got a lot of targets that need to be dealt with, but they're not as threatening if they don't have their special effects, that's where Lightbender comes into play. Not only does Lightbender have a decent body with 3 attack and 3 defense, or 3 health, sorry, but Lightbender also dispels all nearby spaces. So it's like an AoE dispel. It's like, how about no? I don't want to deal with all those guys. Really great against Magmar. Really great against Lionar. Really great against everything, really. But yeah, that's why we have that card. Then we have Dancing Blades, another classic that I don't think really ever dropped out of favor in the Duelyst community, because it's a solid 5-drop, 4 attack with 6 health, solid, but whenever you play it, it also massacres the first thing in front of it, or at least for 3 damage. So that's really powerful removal. It can be any mana cost in the game. They could have an 8-drop, but as long as that 8-drop only has 3 health, you're trading into it for free with the 5-drop. That's what we call value, boys. Then we have Archon Spellbinder, because again, we're trying to ruin our opponent's plan and just kind of prevent them from playing the game, basically. So what Archon Spellbinder does is he makes your opponent's spells cost 1 more to play. So if they're a spell-heavy deck, like Vanar, or Vitruvian, sometimes Abyssian, and a lot of Lionar and Magmar, basically, they're going to have a hard time curving out efficiently. And also, it's a big, dummy thick boy with 7 attack and 9 health. That thing demands an immediate answer, and you can't just dispel it to get rid of it, because it still has a body that's going to stick around and pummel your face if you think you can just ignore it. But anyway, that's the deck, and the sort of idea is delay our opponents while ramping ourselves and drop big bombs and prevent them from ever developing anything meaningful. So let's jump into it. Oh, my bad. Now, you're going to see here that I'm... Alright, so this is probably going to be Artifact Sage. I know that... Oh, this is so beautiful, but I need different cards. Oh, that's not great. Oh, silver, nice. You're going to see I'm in the Bronze Division. Again, the alpha test just opened today, and server restrictions were just lifted in the afternoon. So everyone is fairly low ranked at the moment. But I used to be an S-rank player back in the day. But let's see what Chef has here. I never really imagined Sage as a chef. You know, with that lightning sword, kind of seems like she would just be destroying things. This seems like an acceptable Lightbender turn. So it's Sage playing the old original Vitruvian deck, which looks to be Dervish spam. Yeah, there was no way that I could have played Lightbender to avoid dispelling this mana tile, but oh well. We also ruin our opponent's stage to prevent them from having more mana. And if they kill this, they are going to give us 5 mana next turn, which could be pretty amazing. Bone Swarm! That's fine by me. Do I care about that? Start of your turn, summon a Wind Dervish with Rush. Disappears at the end of your turn. Do I play this and make their spells cost more? Well, I have nothing else to do. I think maybe I just go like this. Prevent them from getting any value out of their cards. See what you're going to do with that electric blade Saj. You're going to equip a blasting artifact. Wild On can start blasting. And so I started blasting. That's pretty much the theme of old Saj. If only I had one more mana. If I had one more mana, then I could aspect and kill that thing. I don't think we're going to be using crossbones. Oh my god, this guy's gonna be so tilted. This guy must be so tilted. I've literally gotten rid of all of his dervishes. He hasn't gotten any value out of them. I'm sorry, chef. It's just what Vanar's cooking. This is literally the point of my deck, is to prevent you from doing anything. Although, you should be grateful, chef, that I haven't fully ruined your day. I haven't screwed your mana curve over yet, so, you know. It could always be worse. I'm thinking we're gonna do some Spellbinder nonsense next turn. Probably also should have punched Saj for 2. I don't want to get too far away from her in case she starts equipping artifacts and going crazy. Although given that she's playing the Dervish machines, I'm going to assume she's not OTK artifact Saj. I don't think we replace anything here because we have a lot of great options. Even better draws that we got. Is that Entropic Decay? That's fine. That's basically her whole turn. Oh, that's new. That's also fine. We'll have 8 mana. Don't think we need double of these. I think we'll just do this. Keep Saj from going away, prevent her from getting blast artifacts off if she has them, and then next turn we'll look to slam another Spelljammer in her face, or another Archon Spellbinder in her face, and see how that goes. So I realized I forgot to do the whole, if you're new to Duelyst, spiel at the beginning of the game, at the beginning of the video. So as you've seen throughout this play, Duelyst is a tactical card game, and you build a deck, but you play that deck out on a board. So it's sort of like chess meets card games, which is why I love it. Because it is just so cool. And there's just so much potential gameplay and outmaneuvering. So it's relatively easy to pick up. Because all you gotta do is build a deck. And that's basically it. And you can move your minions around or whatever. It's easy to pick up, very difficult to master. Which is one thing I particularly love about it. I think we'll stay here. We're gonna move out of Bone Swarm range, that way they actually have to do something about my minions. But we're gonna be close enough to where if she doesn't move, we can swing in with a big punch and possibly finish the game. Scion's Second Wish, draw 2 cards. Alright, that was a rework from where Duelyst left its previous career. So we have lethal on board. Is that a silhouette tracer? Okay, just summoning a wind dervish. But that Fenrir is not dispelled. Oh, you're gonna give it like second wish and third wish? Entropic decay? Okay, that's fine. Oh, then you're gonna move over. Oh, wait, but this Fenrir is not. Oh, that Fenrir is dispelled. Okay. That's fine. Don't think we need Sword of Injure. Well, that is even worse, to be honest. There we go. Now the only way they have is back. Oh, but we have lethal. If they somehow deal with our whole board, we have lethal. Chromatic Cold for the finisher. Sorry, I might not have been talking during those plays. I kind of forgot because I got really into it. But I know I haven't been like screaming and hollering like I used to do on stream with excitement for this game. But it is also like almost 2 AM for me, so I don't want to be screaming and possibly bothering my neighbors. Bone Swarm, that's not going to save you. I'm a healer, I would imagine. Okay, Orb Weaver, that's fine. Another Orb Weaver. Ah, well played, chef. Alright, well there you go. So we showed off half of what this deck is supposed to do. Half of the make your opponent not play the game and just control the board. So that was a look at a deck that I think will do fairly well here on the alpha. Again, the meta is still being figured out by everyone. And we don't have all the cards yet, we just have the core set for this alpha test, so who knows how these decks, how this meta is going to change once the beta comes. We haven't received word on the beta as far as I know. However, I believe the devs did say, or at least that they were hoping, that if everything went well with the alpha, there would be a beta sometime in the fall. So we'll have to see. But man, I just cannot wait. I'm so excited for Duely to be back. I've been playing this game like all day, not only because it goes away on Monday, August 1st, for the alpha anyway, but also just because I've really missed this game, man. For however long Duelyst has been gone, I've literally been looking for a game like it, and I can never get away from thinking about it and reminiscing. I was always like, man, I would try playing new card games, and I'd be like, man, remember how, when we used to play Duelyst and we did these kind of shenanigans with Vanar? Kind of reminds me of it in this game. Whatever card game we're playing, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Legends of Runeterra. Not really Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of its own nightmare. But anyway, I'll stop rambling. That's the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to jump in the alpha test this weekend. If you missed Duely, or if you saw this video and thought Duelyst looked very interesting, it's a fantastic game, infinitely replayable, unlimited fun, super easy to pick up, but the depth is unlimited in terms of learning how to position, learning when to play certain cards, what to play around, etc. I mean, there just really is no ceiling to mastery of Duelyst. So don't be intimidated by the chess aspect. Again, it's alpha, everyone's early ranked, but for the alpha, you get access to all of the core cards out of the gate. So you don't have to get any orbs to open packs or grind or anything. For the alpha, you have access to every core card in the game. So that's pretty poggers if you ask me. And no, this progress won't transfer, because obviously it would be pretty weird for a card game to give you access to every card in the game on day one. However, well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know if that's true. I heard someone say it in a stream earlier today, but I don't know if that's dev official. But anyway, thanks for coming. Here's the list one more time of the sort of control punish deck. Starting from the top. You see our curve is pretty nice. This 2-drop slot is high because we have all of our removals basically 2-drops, but yeah, we have lots of combos, hopefully some ramp, hopefully some delay from our opponents. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Look forward to seeing you either in the Duelyst Alpha, that's alpha.duelyst2.com, alpha.duelyst2.com, or you can join the Discord, or talk to the devs on Twitter at Duelyst2. They're super excited, they've done a lot of work, and this project, this revival project, looks very interesting and very promising. Peace out, guys.